Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in today. We are here with another Project Egg interview with David Kosciusko from Warwick, Rhode Island. David, pleasure to have you on today.
How you doing? Pleasure to be here.
Good man, good man. Thanks for spending the time. So let's jump right in. David, the first question I have for you today is, what is your story?
My story. Well, that's a long one if you want to hear that.
Absolutely.
But how much of a story do you want to hear? From
I want to hear the full story, the whole thing.
huh, well, man, I got a lot of stories to tell you. I've been through a lot, but I'm 35 now, so I grew up in Rhode Island. Uh, so I didn't have the. I'm an entrepreneur at the moment. I own a few retail stores. I have online courses that I sell and things like that. But when I was growing up, I had kind of a rough childhood. Lost my father when I was 16. Dropped out of college when I was 18. My mother kicked me out of the house because I dropped out of college, which is funny now because she watches my seminars on how to make money. But she kicked me out because she didn't think I was going to be successful. And I went my own way. I found a job selling vacuum cleaners door to door, $1,800 vacuum cleaners called Kirby. And I rose to the top of the company, became a top salesperson within a few years in the entire New England division. And then I rose to be the general manager. I ran the company, the local office that I worked for about 8 years. I went off on my own a couple times and failed, had my own office. And I went bankrupt twice before I was the age of 30. So I took my bumps and bruises in business as far as that goes in my 20s. And then from there, my wife and I had lost our house in the market crash in 2008. My daughter was just born then. I have an 8-year-old daughter. And we moved into a room in my mother's basement after this. And I thought to myself, I never want to go through this ever again after my second bankruptcy. And I remember I started to read a book every single day. And within 3 years, I had read close to 300 books. So I didn't get to a book a day, but I get to a book about every other day. And that helped me a lot with my business knowledge. Then one thing led to another. I've got another story about that whole thing, but I started going to yard sales, buying things and flipping stuff on eBay, which then expanded into cell phones. And then I did $250,000 in sales in 8 months of starting that business, just
Wow.
working off a couch in my mother's basement. Yeah, we were dead broke, and all I had was for an office just a couch across from my bed in the same room and a coffee table. And I was able to do $250,000 in sales from that, and that changed my life. I incorporated and became I Buy for Resale Inc., which I'm the CEO and founder of right now. That expanded into two retail stores called Buy Sell Fix. It's BUICLLFIX, where we do iPhone repairs, and we're like a pawn shop that pays cash for phones and does iPhone repair. And now I teach people around the country like how to make money on eBay and things like that. So it's kind of blown up. We do over 50,000 a month in my businesses at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible. So,
that was a good story for you now.
yeah, no, that was great, man. So, you were talking a lot about how you struggled and how you hit your bumps and you hit your roadblocks. Well, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs hit those roadblocks, and a lot of people who aren't passionate about what they do, they don't really have a why. They give up at that time. So, could you maybe give some insight on how you were able to persevere and really what drives you at the end of the day?
That's a good question. As far as being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. You've got to have a strong stomach for it. If you're not willing to get punched in the face once in a while and take bumps and bruises, you don't have any business being in business because that's what it's going to take. If you want to be successful in business, you're going to have to willing to take some hits and get burned once in a while. I mean, when I first started, I remember I bought some fake purses. I once lost $2,000 buying some fake purses. Uh, I bought cell phones that ended up being stolen that I had to give back. I lost, or I had issues with, and things like that. And I've learned how to refine my processes. But then again, after I fixed that stuff, I went and I made $6,000 on two purses that I just bought. So I made my money back and then some. So I've made a lot more than I've lost. But you got to be willing to do that. It's part of the experimental process in business. And you've got to have a strong why. You got to surround yourself with successful people. I think being around really successful people keeps me motivated. My mentor Ty Lopez, I go to his house every couple months. When I'm there with Ty, and like there's so many people there that are just making millions of dollars a year. I'm only making 50,000 a month. I feel like a chump. So you want to be around people that make you feel like a chump when you're doing 50,000 a month in business. You know what I mean? You don't
Right.
want to be around people that make you feel comfortable, because then that's what's going to happen. If you think you're doing well, like if I'm doing 50,000 a month of business and I spend my time with people that are making 50 grand a year, I'm going to get complacent because I'm going to think I'm the man and I'm doing good and everything. I go over to Ty Lopez's house and I feel like this newbie rookie that sucks and has no clue what he's doing. So that's what I want. I want to feel like that because it keeps the pressure on me.
Right. Right. And you talked a lot about like mentors and being surrounded by success. Well, you also mentioned in the beginning of your life how you had a rough childhood, and you dropped out of college, and then you went door to door selling vacuums. Could you point to anything that you learned in that time that has translated to future success now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I got my first millionaire mentor. I tell people all the time, if you want to find a mentor and you don't have any experience, you have no money to pay a mentor, a great way to find a mentor is either in network marketing or direct sales or some kind of commission-based job. Because if you can work for someone that's really successful, the guy I worked for selling the vacuum cleaners was a millionaire at the time, and he taught me everything he knew because there was an incentive. So it was a win-win situation. He turned me into a master salesperson. I have tons of awards that I've won from that company in sales, and I've got that because I had the mentorship of someone who did that before me, and it didn't cost me anything except my time. And when you're young, you're in your 20s, you have plenty of time. You're just trying to discover yourself and things like that. And don't get me wrong, it was hard work. I mean, I lived in an apartment that was 350 square feet, in the basement of a real estate office that I had to literally walk across the hallway to take a shower in the laundry room. So, I didn't make a lot of money. That's a story in itself. Once I got locked out, I had to go out on a main street naked to crawl through the window to get back into my apartment. Anyways, I don't even know if I should be saying this on an interview, but that's a whole story in itself. But I barely made any money doing that when I was learning, but I just stuck with it. I'm like, I know this is something I need to learn, and I'm going to keep learning till I figure it out. And I was really stubborn. One thing, am I allowed to swear on the interview?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So he told me one day, he said, Dave, shit floats. And he goes, there's a lot of people that always jump from job to job, or they try this opportunity and then go to this opportunity after this. He said, shit floats. If you want to do well in something, you got to find one thing and just stick with it till you get good at it. And that made me like wake up when he told me that, because I was like that before I got into the vacuum. I tried being a construction worker, I tried car sales, I tried doing this other online business, tried all these things, but I never stuck with something. So that's something else I could give advice. If you're gonna just whatever you're gonna do, decide to do it and then just become good at it. And then once you're good at it and you master that skill, then you can move on to something else. But those sales ability and the management ability that I learned working for him is now translated into my businesses now. I wouldn't be able to run without that.
Right. Right. And you've spoken a lot about how you learn from people and how you learn from your experiences and things that you've done. But you also mentioned that you read a book every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very common theme among successful people, is that they read a ton. And they read and
Yeah.
they read and they read.
I was
And
just reading here. Look, this is the book I was just literally reading 5 minutes before our interview. This .com Secrets by Russell Branson. I read constantly. I don't know if you can. I have a library right behind me. You can see some of the books. I have so many books that they're stacked up like I can't fit them in my bookshelf anymore. um,
that's awesome.
yeah, it's important to read. I know Ty Lopez reads a book a day, and long before I started following Ty, I was a big reader myself. That's what got me out of debt. That's what got me out of bankruptcy, and grew my businesses so quickly, was having that knowledge. Yeah.
So if you could point to, I guess, the top three books that, if you're just not making it and nothing that you're doing is working and you're just banging your head against the wall, three books that you would say would help you start on that path to success?
Well, that's, you didn't tell me anything you were going to ask, but it's funny. You asked the same question that everybody asked me. That every time I do these Facebook live streams where I help a lot of up and coming entrepreneurs, and I do it for free, just as a way to give back. And one of the number one questions that I get is, "What are your top 3 books?" All the time, people ask me that. So here they are: Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, one of my favorite books. This book changed my life. If you are going to go in business, you shouldn't go in business until you read this book. Anybody who wants to be successful, you should read this book before you do anything. Highly recommend it. This is another great book for people skills, learning how to sell. It's how to win friends and influence people. This is a double book. I got this one. It's how to win friends and influence people, and also how to stop worrying and start living. If you have anxiety or fear, that's a great book. But it's not one of my top ones. It's still an excellent book by Dale Carnegie. So that's number 2. And then tied for third, I don't know. I'd say the 4-Hour Workweek for Tim Ferriss, or The Millionaire Next Door is really good, or The 1-Minute Millionaire. I can't decide which one of these 3, so I'm giving you 6 books. There you go. So this really helped me teach me how to manage my finances and get by on barely anything and save a lot of money quickly, even without making a lot of money. I really like this book. Change your mindset about finances and what millionaires really are like. Because a lot of people think millionaires live like is completely different what a real millionaire lives like, because they're very frugal with their money. And 4-Hour Workweek is great as far as the Pareto Principle. Really refining your life to do more of what's working and less of what's not, I guess.
Right. And it is funny. I'm actually reading How to Win Friends and Influence People right now, so it's funny that you had mentioned that.
Yeah, good book. How far you got into it?
I just read the first chapter, and per the book's recommendation, I paused and I read it again, and now I'm trying to really put that into my own life and put that into practice right now. But one of the biggest things that Carnegie says is, don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just that one principle is extremely powerful. But in addition to books, I think the beauty of books is that you get to learn important lessons from incredible people. So I also am a firm believer that people are the greatest asset. If you can't point to people that you can turn to for advice, then you're going to have a hard time moving forward. If you can't look at somebody as a role model, as an inspiration, as a mentor, then it's going to be hard to get to the places that you want to get to, because you're going to have to find out everything on your own. So that being said, if you could point to the most important mentors in your life, who would they be?
Well, I wish I had figured this out. How old have you been? Is it okay to say that on camera?
Yeah, I'm 21.
21. Oh wow, you're 21. So you're getting started nice and early. So that's good. I wish I didn't have a mentor when I was young. That's what was half my problem. Losing my father was tough because I never had a positive male role model until about 22, 23 when I found that mentor that I was selling vacuums with and stuff. But it was really a business mentor, not a life mentor. There was things that I wish he kind of had taught me about life itself that I screwed up quite a bit. But he was my first mentor. And up until recently now, I've really been using the power of mentors. Like, for example, I paid Ty Lopez $25,000 this year to mentor me. I paid Matt Pocious, who's 18. He made his first million at 18, another one of my mentors. He's the highest paid internet marketer in the world, charges $4,000 an hour. He's another one of my mentors. I have a public speaking coach for public speaking that trained the number 3 public speaker in the world. He's a coach. I have 2 personal trainers right now for fitness as my mentors. I have a web developer that helps me out a lot. And I constantly am looking for other people to inspire me and be my mentor, hire coaches. I'd hire a coach for everything I possibly could. I just hired a coach, paid him $1,000 to train my wife on Shopify. I just hired a coach to teach me how to do eBay drop shipping. I'm paying coaches. I spend over $1,000 a month on coaching now. Probably more than that. Last year I spent over $4,000 a month. So I'm cutting my budget down a little bit because I kind of went crazy last year. But if there's anything I can say, is just hire as many mentors as you can for anything you want to learn. A mentor cuts the learning curve. I have a video on this on my YouTube channel, Win at Life with Dave. One of the things I talk about is if you're gonna change the tire on a car, right? Are you going to try to hold the car up with one hand as you change the tire? That'd just be insane, right? You'd probably break your arm unless, you're the Incredible Hulk, and it'd still be kind of foolish to do that, right? What do you
Right.
use? You use a jack, and a jack is a lever and a fulcrum. You use the leverage, right? You get this 4,000-pound vehicle, and with one finger, just go, doo, you push the little lever, and it lifts up the vehicle. Well, that's like if you don't have a mentor and you're trying to figure it out your own way. So many people I talk to, my friends, oh, I want to do it my own way. I don't need to take advice. But that's like trying to change the tire of a car, lifting it up with one hand and putting the tire on. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to do something the hard way? Use leverage, use a mentor, and we'll cut your learning curve. So, like, if I knew what I know now when I was 21, your age, and I had the mentors I have, I'd be a millionaire by 23. I mean, hands down, I don't even question it. So, anybody that's young and watching this, don't wait and don't be hesitant to hire someone to help you. That's probably the best advice that I could ever give.
So I think one of the biggest issues for younger people is that either they don't know exactly what they need mentors for, or they can't yet justify the cash expenditure to hire a coach, a consultant. So, I think some of the best coaches are upwards of five, 10, $15,000. So, if you could, if you could give some insight as to how to find the best coaches, because you can, if you work hard enough, you can save up $5,000, you can save up $10,000,
Yep.
but how do you know who the right person is for you at the right time?
Well, first of all, I want to say your income is directly related to your skills. The more skills you have, the more money you're going to make, period. That's in business or that's whether you're working for someone, okay? Without a mentor, you're not going to have skills. And you don't know what you don't know. Someone that's making, let's say, $10 million a year can look at a guy making 100 grand a year and go, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, this is, they know everything. Within 5 minutes of talking to you, what you could do to change your life. But that person has no clue that they're doing everything wrong, okay? Up until the point that the mentor shows them. So I would say don't be afraid to spend money because I'll give you an example on this. So last year I've been making six figures now for the last 3 years, but I wanted more than that. I want to be making seven figures a year. It was my goal by next year. So what I did was I hired Ty Lopez, and I was nervous to do this, but I paid 25,000 for his mentorship. Now that's scary to pay 25 grand to someone. But first off, you want to make sure that they have the credibility. Buy a product they have for a small amount. See if you like them. See if you learn. And if whatever they give you gives you value and you make money from it, imagine when you spend more on it and you get closer help, what you're going to get from them. Or watch a couple free videos. If when they talk, if you're like, yes, this is good stuff. I know I can see myself applying it and it working. Well, then that's the person you want to follow. And when I followed Ty, I paid him 25 grand, and yeah, it was scary. And then I had to go to work and use the knowledge too, because some people they just paid the money and then they never did anything. But I'm not that type of person. I take action, and I put into action. And I mean, last month I made over 26 grand profit in my businesses. And
Wow.
I was only making about 7, 8 grand a month profit. So I tripled my income literally so yeah. So now like that 20 back then 25,000 was a ton of money. I'd have to work a lot in order to make that. And now it's less than a month income for me because I hired that mentor, and I wouldn't have that had I not done that. And again,
That's
I don't
incredible.
want this to come off as bragging here, by the way. I'm just using this like as an example, so I'm not like saying this to boast about myself or anything.
No, 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 absolutely not. And like you were saying, you want to find people who are credible and who you want to listen to. And so, I mean, I feel very comfortable, with you sharing that information as long as you are, because I do want people to know that you're putting your results where your mouth is. So,
Oh, thanks.
but anyways, you talked a lot about how being an entrepreneur is a lot about experimenting, and it's about learning and growing, but it's a lot of experimental processes. So could you maybe talk about, for people who are just starting out, um, what sort of experiments they should be running, or what sort of processes they should be trying to build? What's kind of the biggest thing that they
You
should focus on?
you really want to experiment with everything in your life. The more you experiment, the more you're going to win. Because you don't know what's going to work until you try it. And a lot of people will say, Dave, what's the best business I could be in? I don't know. I'm not the universe. I'm not God Almighty. I have no clue what business you should be in. I'm not you. But what I can tell you is that you can do some experiments to see what you like and then start working there. You want to collect data, right? And some people are afraid to spend money on data. So, for example, you're like, oh, Dave, should I start this business? Go try it out. Start it up. If it's not going to put you under, don't do anything that's going to be like if the experiment fails, your life is over. Don't do anything that's going to lead to bankruptcy like I did. That's a bad experiment, right? But you do small experiments, right? So, like, you want to open up like a restaurant. Well, first of all, go work for someone in the food industry to see if you like it. Some people, like, if they're like, I'm going to open a restaurant, but they've never worked in the food industry in their life, you might spend all this money, save up, and do all this, get in the restaurant, and go, oh, I hate this. Well, that's an experiment going way too longer than it should have. You could have gone for a week to work at McDonald's, and I'm not kidding. I mean, you get a good experience of the food industry in McDonald's. They're pros. They've been doing it for 100 years, right? So you work at McDonald's for a week, and you're like, I hate the food industry. And then now you hate the food business. Like me, I hate the food business. I do not want to work in the food industry regardless of the money. I'm a computer guy. I'm a tech guy. I'm like an internet guy, internet marketer. I'm a musician. I like that type of stuff. I like sales. I wouldn't do food. And nothing against anybody who's in the food. But like, for example, my wife loves food. She's the biggest foodie in the world. Like, I can show her pictures of food in magazines that gets her turned on. I mean, like, it's this is the type of person she is. So for her, like a cafe, a coffee shop, or as a matter of fact, she's actually launching an online T-shirt business in the coffee niche because she's such a coffee fanatic. So like, she loves that stuff. So that works for her. For me, I would hate it. And I told her when she was starting off, experiment. She wanted to start a business. I said, let's start a few things and see what you like. She actually started up a cookbook because she liked food, but then she found she didn't really like just making a cookbook. She couldn't figure out why. She just didn't like it. I don't know what it was. So then I said, all right, well, you like creative design. Let's try a T-shirt thing. And then she loved it. So she started doing a lot more of that. And then I hired a coach for it. And now she's building up. And we're about to launch the store next week. But it took a little bit of experimenting to figure out what her passion really was and what she really enjoys. Because sometimes what you think you're going to want is not really what you want, believe it or not. And you'll find that out through experimenting. And it's kind of a lot like dating. If you go out with a date with someone, you're not going to marry the person the first time you go on a date with them, right? You're going to want to date a lot of people and see like what type of person that you like. And only after then you can really figure out like who you click with and you get a better understanding of it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a lot of
really
good
I don't know if
insight.
that was too long of an answer, but
No,
there's so much I
perfect.
can go into experimenting. I could talk about it for an hour.
Right, right. So, we kind of touched on your past, and we kind of talked about what you're doing now, but maybe you could expand a little bit more about, what your biggest focus is right now.
My biggest focus is on building 5 companies to 20,000 a month in sales each right now. So I've got 3 at the moment doing 20,000 a month, about a little under that each. I'm building them up. So I want to get 2 more by the end of the year. That's my goal. So I set very specific time-oriented goals. When I set goals, I have a video on my YouTube channel called SMART Goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or relevant, and time-oriented. You want to set goals like that for yourself, and you're a lot more likely to hit them. Rather than say, oh, I want to make more money. Your brain can't compute that when you set a goal like that. It doesn't make any sense. But if you say, I want to have 5 companies doing 20,000 a month by the end of 2016, it's a lot easier for your brain to search your data in your mind and spit back the question.
Right, right. So, now we talked about your past. We kind of got a little bit of insight on what you're currently doing. But if you could point to the one biggest thing that you want to accomplish in your lifetime, what would that be?
I have my goals written up there on the wall, as a matter of fact. I have my lifetime goals. So one of the biggest things I have, here's the top 3 things I have. I want to make a major impact across all humanity. So one of my biggest things is I want to try to unite the world. I know that's a lofty goal. People might think I'm crazy, but I've said crazier things to people and I've accomplished them. So that was one of my major goals. I also want to be in the top 10 of the Forbes 400 list. So, and my other one was to view the Earth from space.
That's awesome. Those are
Yeah,
really good goals.
I actually want to get into colonizing space, kind of like Elon Musk. I actually, before I even knew about Elon Musk, I had set that goal to colonize space. So my goal.
Hey man, well, I want to come too. I'll come test it out with you.
Okay.
But
So you want to ask what drives me? Having big aspirations, like almost insane type of goals, like people think you're nuts for saying them. That keeps me motivated because I know I need to really work hard. Because even when I accomplish big things, they're still small compared to my goals.
right, and that's actually a really good point that I kind of want to touch on. And I think about this a lot. That if you have these goals, and you have your year, your 5 year, your 10 year, your 20 year goals, then accomplishing things in the short term is just that. It's short term. I mean, it's a small goal. But do you think that looking so far ahead, that saying, okay, I want to do this huge thing, and in order to do that, I need to accomplish all these little things. Do you think that that's played a fundamental part to your success?
Yeah, you got to break it down. You got to have a big goal, and what you got to do is reverse engineer your goals. So you've got to set the biggest goal you can, and then work your way backwards from there, because you can't really see how far you'll ever go. You can't ever picture yourself getting to those big goals right there. All they are is just like a dream or a fantasy. But then you put an action plan into place and say, okay, to do this, what would I have to do? Okay, I guess I'd have to do this, this, or this. Okay, then and then you start doing that. Well, I could hit that in about 20 years. Okay, and then to hit this in 20 years, what would I have to do? I guess, well, I'd have to do this, this, and this. Okay, well, that'll be my 15-year plan. Well, if I want to hit this in 15 years, what would I have to do? Well, I guess I'd have to do this, this, and this. And then you work your way back, and then you eventually go 5 year, then 1 year, and then, well, if I'm going to hit that goal this year, like my goal this year was to be making $30,000 a month profit by the end of the year, right? So I've already almost hit that. I'm like $3,000 or $4,000 away a month from that. And at the time of setting this goal, I was only making $7,000 or $8,000 a month. And that was a lofty goal, and I can't believe I actually am about to hit it. But I had to work my way. So when I set that goal, I said, well, what do I got to do? I got to find a mentor that will teach me how to do this. I need to work hard. I need to give up TV for the year. I need to get myself in better physical shape so I'm ready and like I have the energy to be able to produce all this stuff that I'm going to do. I need to create a YouTube channel. I need to build a following to help me get up to that. And I need to have a team on my side to support me and tell me my weaknesses as I'm going along. So I'm getting, real-time feedback on how I'm doing. So all those things played into a factor of me hitting that goal this year. So again, reverse engineering. I just figure out what I got to do and then work my way back from there. A lot of people don't spend the time to sit and think, and they think it's wasting time like writing our goals. But you could spend 3 hours doing this. I did this. I planned my entire year out on a plane ride to LA. That's a whole nother story. I met a woman there who was a life coach, and I ended up just talking to her. She ended up being a friend with this best-selling author I just met in LA, and that was a cool experience in itself. But I planned out my entire year on a plane ride. Didn't take that long. It was just quiet, and I wrote all my goals down. And I wrote all the things I needed to do to hit it, and then I wrote down all the things what not to do to hit it. Because sometimes we need a reminder of what not to do. So I said if I want to not hit my goal, what I would do is not hire a mentor, be lazy, not read any books, watch TV a lot, that type of stuff. And then that sometimes the pain helps you motivate it too, because you look like, oh, I don't want to be doing this. So sorry, go ahead, Ben. I'll let you ask me some more questions.
No, it's great, and the more that you share, I think the more value is added to this interview, because you're the expert here, not me. So, anyways, so if you could give one piece of advice that would really serve as your legacy, what would that be?
One piece of advice to serve as your legacy. So, like to create my legacy, what I would do.
Like if you had one thing written on your tombstone, I guess, not to be morbid, but one thing that people would remember you by, one quote that would define who you are, what would it be?
It's hard to do with one quote. What I would say to leave a legacy, because it's very hard in one sentence to sum up what you've got to do in life. For example, if there was only one thing I would say is live by your principles and seek knowledge. If I could sum up one sentence, but that's very vague. So I actually have a credo written up that I wrote, so that way, if I passed away, my daughter, my wife could carry on, and it says my rules of what I do every day. Um, and I can show it to you if you want to have it back there. But basically, it says things like I don't lie under any circumstances. I keep my mind and body in the best shape possible. I read books daily, and it has a bunch of affirmations on it that I say to myself. And I wrote that back in 2011, even when I wasn't doing a lot of the things that I had written on my credo. And then I just looked at that every day, and it stared me in the face. And every time I did something wrong, I would look at my credo and go, I'm not following my rules. And I know as long as I stick to my rules from now on, it's like having a foundation to a house. You can't really go wrong as long as you stick to the rules. And sticking to my principles is one of the biggest things that's helped me maintain my success and not lost it. Because a lot of people can always have fast success. You can always cheat your way to success. You can always lie, scam, steal, and things like that. But you won't be able to keep it or maintain it without principles. You've got to have principles. So there's a lot of things people wanted me to do that weren't ethical. That I could have made a quick buck on, and I turned them down following my principles. There's a lot of businesses I could have done and sacrificed my family time and things like that to make more money, and I stuck to my principles and didn't do it. And that's what gives me a good, sustainable, happy lifestyle and helps me stay motivated every day and excited to jump out of bed, because it's not just about the money either. You've got to love your life on top of it. The money is just a tool to get what you want. But if you're not enjoying your life, then there's no point to it. I mean, I know I'm carrying on here. I'm kind of going off, but I'm in a rock band. I have a lot of friends that I hang out with. We travel. I take 2 vacations a month. My wife and I are going to Chicago in 2 weeks. I was just in LA 3 weeks ago. I was in Arizona a month ago. I'm traveling all over the country. We visited 28 countries in the last year, 28 major cities across the United States in the last year. My wife and I and my daughter, and we live a passionate life. So it's not just about the money for me.
And I think that's a really good point to make. That you really have to love your life and love what you're doing, and that money is just a tool. But if you could say and maybe break down your day on an hour basis, like how much time do you spend working versus doing other things?
Well, see, one thing I learned from Ty Lopez is to have the integrated good life. So I actually combine work and play. Like, I can't separate the difference. Like for me right now, yeah, I'm working. I'm doing an interview right now. Obviously, I might get some promotion with this. I don't know if we get followers, whatever. But like, I would do this for free for fun. As screwed up as it is, I actually love doing this stuff. I like helping people, and I've done it for free. A year ago, I was doing this type of stuff and not charging anything and doing it for free because I just enjoy helping people. It's a passion of mine. So like, it doesn't feel like work to me. And if you want a great life, that's where you want to be. You want to be doing stuff that doesn't feel like work. That's stuff that you would do for free. Like one of my aspirations has always been to be like an actor, a movie star. I wanted to produce a movie. That's one of my major goals. And like when I do webinars, I get to film myself. I get to be on camera. I like the attention and stuff like that. It's fun. So I would do that stuff for free. So for me, that's like my version of partying is like doing webinars and training people and having seminars. So it doesn't feel like work. When I travel, I'll shoot YouTube videos of myself. Like I have a bunch. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see me all over the place. You'll see me on a steamboat. You'll see me in front of waterfalls. You'll see me over cliffs. You'll see me in the Hollywood Hills in LA. And like, when I'm shooting these videos, like, yeah, that's promoting me and I'm doing work, but I'm having a blast while I'm doing it. So when you say, like, how much do you work? I only consider work when I'm not having fun, and I don't like to not have fun. I've actually, if you watch one of my videos, it talks about, I have what's called the happiness refinement method, where I actually write down all the things I like to do on a daily basis and all the things I don't like to do. And you slowly want to just get rid of all the things you don't like to do, and then just do what you do like to do. So, for example, my retail stores, we do cell phone repair, and we pay cash for phones. Now, I got to a point where working in the retail store kind of I outgrew it. At first it was good. I was growing a business. I was excited about it. Then it became like I got frustrated when I want to sit there and only make, let's say, $50 an hour repairing phones with people. And I started to get annoyed because I realized I had bigger skills than that. So what I did, I just hire employees. I don't even go to my stores anymore now. My stores do close to $500,000 a year, and I just let someone else run it. And I just work on doing what I like, which is webinars, selling courses, and things like that, because that's fun for me. I enjoy it. I don't know if that answers your questions or if you'd like me to go in deeper detail for that.
No, that was great, man. I really appreciate that. But I guess I just have one more big question for you.
Sure.
Um, is there anything about you that you feel is an important part of who you are that I did not ask you about today? Like, what did I miss?
You covered a lot. It's pretty good. I think this is the most in-depth interview that I've ever done, actually. So I give you a lot of credit. You asked really good questions. And the only thing, I mean, goals is one of the biggest things. I mean, I think everything that I'm really passionate about, you ask me a question about, and I've answered it. And, I just tell people, if you're young and you're watching this right now, this is what I would do. If I could go back and talk to myself when I was, let's say, 15, 16 years old, right? I would tell myself, surround yourself with the absolute best people you could find. It was a big mistake I made when I was younger, is not surrounding myself with the right people. Surround yourself with the best people that you can find, better people that are 20 times better than you at everything. Read as much books as you can every single day. Just read constantly. Set very specific goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-oriented goals for your life. Plan your life out. And that's it. I think if I could go back in time and tell myself three things, I would probably be multiple millions at this point. I mean, I would probably achieve half of the goals on the list. Unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way, and we all start at certain points in our life. But so anybody watching this in their 20s, if you could do those three things right now, you'll be set for life by the time you're 30.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate it. But before you go, I just want to make sure that people know how to get in touch with you. So maybe you could tell people that.
Yeah, sure. So best way is on Facebook. You'll find a lot of my free content and stuff like that. I also have a YouTube channel, but you want to friend me on Facebook or follow me on Facebook. At this time, I've got quite a few followers, so try to send me a friend request. If not, just hit the follow button. You'll still see all my content. And it's David Kosciusko. I don't know if you're going to tag me in any post or anything that you put this on. My last name's a little tough to spell. It's David, and then Kosciusko's Kosciusko. So you can follow me there. I have a course that I teach people how to make 20,000 a month selling phones on eBay like I do. So you can, if you want to ask me about my course, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's Win at Life with Dave, and that's all one word. There's no space. It's just Win at Life with Dave, all one word. And I have tons of the information like I've given you here. I've got a lot of detailed videos on these type of things I talk about, and that's all free. You can just use it for whatever you like, and then get in touch with me from there. I think I put my Facebook links in there. I'm currently building a site right now. It's not built yet, but winatLifeWithDave.com will be up soon, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. You can always check it out. I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff on business advice and things of that nature. And I do live streams all the time where I do question and answer sessions, so people can ask me questions about business and like what they should do, and I can help you out. So if you want to check me out there, you're welcome to.
All right, fantastic. Well, now you guys know how to get in touch with David. And once again, this has been another Project Egg interview with David Kosciusko from Rhode Island. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you, Ben.